Hello and welcome back to Kaostv's live coverage of the EUS Challenger Series number 7. Game number 2 between Heimerdingers, Colossi and Eternity. I'm Metis, joined by Forecourt Jester, and we are live into the picks and bans here. Jester, how you doing, man?
Yeah, doing good. Game number 1 was fairly overwhelming, not only in the state of the two teams, but just getting to see these guys firsthand just work their magic. It was an extreme pleasure to watch, and yeah, Meta's first time with you, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, likewise, dude, likewise. First time casting together. I know that you do watch the streams fairly regularly, so I assume that, you've seen a fair bit of Heimerdingers Colossi now. You know what they bring to the table. Fairly similar bands coming out. Evelyn and Zach from Heimerdingers Colossi, which is definitely targeted against Spontex. He plays a ridiculously strong Evelyn and Zach at top lane. On the flip side, it's going to be Fizz and Nunu. Fizz directed at Extinct, and Nunu in the last game, as you saw with Maluno, is just so scary in the jungle.
Yeah, those sustained comps at the same time, combined with the smite, 1090 early game damage, it defeated their invade at the level 1 for the Eternity. Unfortunately, it didn't quite get them those early dragons, a little bit miscalculations on Maluno's part, but Nunu overall extremely strong, especially after you get him rolling with the Blood Boil for your ADC, a little bit of AP for the snowballs. The Absolute Zero can be devastating in these disengaged comps, so not really too much of a surprise there. Twisted Fate, again, we got 4 of the 5 repeat bans, Nautilus making a 5th repeat ban, but now Shen is on the table, and we also still have things like Thresh out there as well.
Yeah, Thresh, Mithy loves Thresh. Like, he absolutely adores that support, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him go alongside. It depends pretty much on whether it fits their composition that they're going for. He has already not necessarily locked it in, but he's hovering over the Thresh pickup. Would expect him to go for this alongside the Jace. Again, we have spoke about this so often, but if you don't ban Jace against Heimerdingers Colossi, they're going to pick it, they're going to put it on Extinct, and he's going to make things happen that are bad for your team, a detriment. As you actually said in the break there, Jester, that he had a mirror mana at around 19 minutes, I believe you said, and you're kind of amazed by how good that was on Jace.
Yeah, I mean, usually I see it, a bit later, 21, 22 minutes, but 19 minutes, like even before you can surrender, he's already adding that mirror mana damage to his attacks. That's very powerful early game stuff. I mean, you typically see like those first big items in and around the 20-minute mark, but these days, with a lot of the swaps and a lot of the skill levels just rising, you can usually get like 1.5 by the 20-minute mark. For example, like a Bloodthirster and a Zeal, or Bloodthirster Last Whisper, but a full-out mirror mana by the time you can match that, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, just massive chunks of damage coming in with the Shock Blast, of course. We are going to have a couple picks up here from Eternity, opting for the Orianna and Jarvan. Jarvan is a smart pick against Heimerdingers Colossi, not just because he is a strong champion, but both Maluno and Yamato Cannon can play him to an extremely strong extent. We've also seen Extinct actually picking him up in mid. Yesterday, the only game that they lost in about 18 matches in the EUS Challenger Series when Extinct picked up the Jarvan. But everyone on their team can pretty much play him. They are hovering over the Rammus pick. Now, they've changed it to Diana. I was about to ask you, over in NA, is Rammus the kind of jungler that you see too often? Because in EU, we definitely don't.
No. Just straight out answer, no. He hasn't really regained any of that former glory, and I was gonna say, if they're gonna pick this Rammus, feed the Rammus, do it, chat, because we have a Rammus. But no, you see him sometimes in tournaments, just kind of like as like joke or gimmicky comps, because he does have the taunt and the reflect. So you can go into like pure taunt comps. Sometimes, or just like you never move and then you die kind of ideas. But in terms of a competitive, you don't really see him nearly as much as you used to.
Yeah, and you can completely understand why. As a ganking tool, very strong, but doesn't necessarily do great as the later stages start to draw near. I am interested for Heimerdingers Colossi if they're potentially running Diana in jungle. I know that Extinct loves to play her in mid as well, and he has actually picked her up, so I wouldn't expect it to that be the case. But of course, versatility is a very strong suit in League of Legends. If you don't know where their enemy team is going to be playing, it makes you have some of those mind games going around. They're actually going to be picking up Katarina. This is not a champion that I've seen in the EUS Challenger Series a single time, and indeed in the pro scene for quite a while, unless you're going over to NA. I know the likes of Skara love him some Katarina.
Yep. Katarina with the resets, I mean, that's kind of where the big power comes out, getting off a bunch of those resets into Azonias just for the extra cooldowns, for more resets. It can definitely be very powerful, especially in more lower tier games, you know, anything under Platinum really, and you get a Katarina, you could potentially just end up losing 1v5 repeatedly. It's like if you get an APE on an ARAM these days. But, you know, going with the Katarina, it almost looks at this point that she should be fairly safe. I mean, we got a Shen with the Stand United, so she can go in with that. We also got the shield from Orianna, plus, of course, her command attack, the Cataclysm to kind of solidify targets, and then the giant arrow, just in case you do want to get, like, a lot of that stationary going. So Eternity does have a very nice comp to go with that, but Katarina by herself, like, if you don't have a Protect the Katarina kind of comp going, it can definitely fall flat on its face.
That's a very good point. Very, very good point. There's so much protection for her to allow her to go and get the resets, as you mentioned previously. And on the flip side, Maluno going with the Nocturne. However, we do have a remake coming in, so I am just curious if we've had a placeholder pick in the picks and ban stage. Sorry for that pause. I'm just trying to read through a few things and find out what that placeholder pick may have been, or the reason for this remake. Spurtblob has just joined right back in, so I'm not too sure what's going on here, Jester, but hopefully it's going to be resolved pretty shortly.
I didn't actually get to see who that last pickup was for Heimerdingers Colossi.
Nocturne.
Oh, so a Nocturne jungle. Okay, so long-range ganks coming in. If you don't have a Zac, then he's kind of like your next best pick. You used to see Pantheon jungle, and then, of course, you get the man drop going. But unfortunately, not going to have that this round. So, yeah, Nocturne, deny that vision. Long-range ganks coming out from there as well. Well, I mean, it is Heimerdinger Colossi. You don't really want to question them on these things.
Oh, that's very true. I am just curious if it was a placeholder pick or if somebody was having client issues. I'm getting that weird bug of active game was not found, so maybe it's been the latter. Yeah. I assume it was a client issue. Just having a quick check on Skype, because I want to make sure before we go ahead and say things that aren't necessarily true.
Now, if that wasn't a Katarina and that was indeed a placeholder, I'm going to be a little sad because I thought the comp could probably sustain it at that point. But I don't know. I don't even see any picks here on stream, so I'm not entirely too sure if everything's okay or not.
Yeah, they're going through with the spelling, which I'm not even going to be reading out because it's yeah, it's not quite past the watershed yet. But both teams are banning out. Like, alongside you, I would love to see some Katarina. It is a breath of the fresh air that we haven't seen a great deal of. I honestly don't think that we've seen her once in the US Challenger Series. Of course, I'm sure people will be correcting me if I'm wrong on that assumption, but I personally don't remember seeing her. They are going through the picks again, so for Heimerdingers, Colossi, Jace, and Thresh were the first two. On Eternity, they're actually going for the Ashe. Ashe is quite an interesting AD carry by herself because, similar to the likes of a Draven that has no escape unless you have flash up, she's quite vulnerable to champions like Diana and also Jace, who are going to be able to jump on top of her. But as you mentioned before with the Katarina, which by the way it looks like it was indeed a placeholder pick, realizing they didn't actually have a support. So that was for Lulu. They're going to be running Lulu Ashe at bot lane, but they have a very good protection comp for Ashe. It's difficult to jump on top of her.
Alright, so no Katarina, but as you said, yeah, it's going to come down to the Ashe at the end. Without those escape mechanisms, I mean, even Caitlyn has a net. All we have for Ashe is the kite, which is not really going to be cutting it if you're trying to run from 5 people all at the same time. But she will also have that arrow for the initiation, so arrow into Jarvan. Jarvan gets in there. Lulu does the wild growth. Command shockwave on top of it, Jarvan. Like, that can be a really big AoE lockdown comp. To still do a lot of damage here for the Ashe. She just sits very safely out of range. But on the other side, I mean, to get past that front line, look at Heimerdingers Colossi. We're going to have Jace that can jump through people. You could even have flashing in with the boxes just to keep the front line there. It's to allow the people to get into the back. Diana, of course, can moonfall in, and Nocturne with the ult. So protect the Ashe could be an extremely hard game for Eternity this round.
It could, and something just caught my eye there that, you know, we saw the Jace pick come in and we assumed it was for Extinct because he's just so strong. But actually, Yamato Cannon's going to be running Jace this game at the top instead. So that's interesting in itself. Extinct is a very strong Diana player. And just obviously Yamata saying, look, it's not just Extinct that can play Jace in this composition. I can do it just as well, if not better. But with the delay, ladies and gents, we're going to cut to a very quick break. When we rejoin us, we'll be live for game number 2 between Eternity and Heimerdingers Colossi. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Kaostv's live coverage of the US Challenger Series number 7. This is best of 3, 1 for the day. It currently stands at a 1-0 for Heimerdingers Colossi as expected. I guess a lot of the viewers would be feeling. I'm joined by Jester, and we're live into the game here, Jester. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, we're about 30 seconds in. We're looking for those early ward positions, see if we can get a level 1. But Heimerdinger Colossi, very strong game one, and even able to defeat the invade coming out from Eternity back then. We're looking to see if Eternity might want to look for some revenge, but right now they're all spread out. They're looking for invades. They're just playing it safe because they know that they're on the back foot. They need to make this game count, otherwise they are going to be out, and that will be Heimerdingers with a 2-0 into the finals.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are the kind of team that once they start to build a head of steam, it's very difficult to derail the onslaught. Apologies for before, I was out of breath. I quickly sprinted back to my computer to make sure I didn't miss the opening of the game. But it looks like we're not going to see anything too, out of the ordinary kicking off. Both teams, by and large, happy to stay in their own jungles.
As I said, Eternity, a little bit of a back foot. They do got the Thresh, with the death sentence, could lead into a very viable, early game lead if he can land it. But he's actually going to be taking Flay, which, by all regards, if you're not going to be invading, Flay will typically serve you out a bit better. And yeah, everyone's just going to do a little bit of jungling off into their normal lanes. Now, I'm assuming it's going to be Diana mid at this point, but I could be wrong. But they are still both up there. She is making her way down, so if she doesn't turn around, then yeah, it will be Orianna versus Diana with Jace top.
Yeah, indeed. Extinct is the mid lane of Heimerdingers. Colosso with the Diana will definitely be in mid lane against Super Blob on Orianna. Lots and lots of CC and AoE damage coming out the gates once we get into the team fight stages for Eternity. So they are going to be looking to take this one into the mid game, you have to feel. Especially with Ashe, who isn't necessarily regarded as one of the better early AD carries, but when you get her with a full item build, the damage starts to fly through thick and fast. So it is going to be Caitlyn and Thresh facing off against Ashe and Lulu. What are your thoughts of this duel at the bot lane? Who do you think is going to come out on top?
Really comes down to how well Mithy can, land his aggression. Death sentences and flays, getting them into position for Caitlyn to land some auto attacks. But Lulu, very defensive, has her shields, has the speed ups at the same time, can also put picks on top of Ashe, just makes her damage up, but that much greater. And especially this early game where we don't have a lot of that attack speed, we don't have a lot of that default attack damage. I actually looked at the runes here. Freeze running pure armor pen, so he's only hitting for 67 at this point. Both of them are rocking the Doran's blades, but 75 to the 67, early game. Nono's going to hit a little bit harder because we don't really have a lot of that built-up armor, but 19 armor pen. That just takes out half of it right there.
Yeah, definitely. And getting towards the mid to latter stages of the match as well, it's going to work nicely against characters like Shen and Jarvan, who typically will build items that are both health and armor. Now, those are the two kind of statistics that they're looking for. Agent probably isn't going to go full damage or anything close to that because he wants to engage. He wants to get right up into the grill, right up into the face of Heimerdingers Colossi, and neutralize characters like Freeze on Caitlyn and also Extinct's Diana. Both junglers haven't really made an impact thus far. Happy to just get their XP up. Maluno is about halfway through the experience right now. In fact, just over halfway through, getting towards 4 after these golems should be hitting there. Maybe thinking of making a play at top. Not too sure though. With that health, he will be recalling.
Yeah, going in with that kind of health, especially against a Shen, doesn't have to worry about mana at all. So yeah, a little bit of a better idea to go home. He gets himself the Spirit Stone, pretty much expected at this point. Death Sentence going out bottom lane, not going to hit here from Mithy, but he is trying to put out a little bit of that damage, and it could land some good chunks here on top of Nono. Neither of the ADCs with any of that sustained, just the Dorans, so they got to rely on their last hits and any kind of lifesteal that they have. Mid, however, has been a really big poke fest.
Yeah, Mithy's being chased down by Agent. Flag and Drag's landed. Nice flame knocking them back, though. Mithy has flash off cooldown. Will be going through. Throws a death sentence through the wall just for good measure, but no one's going to follow that one up. But still a successful gank in the sense that it did pop Mithy's flash.
And if you do come to lane and you do only get a flash, it's still a victory no matter what. But this is really good positioning. Maluno going to be here in mid, comes all the way from behind, has the blue, doesn't quite get that fear off, but we also had the ignite go down from Diana. Maluno, I'm not too sure if he can actually catch up or grab this kill, but we do know that Jarvan is still bottom lane, and he's just going to go for it.
Yeah, he's actually landed the Fear Temper this time around. Flash has already been used. Dustbringer has been popped, but a beautiful shield going down, just delaying the inevitable, but may actually get a kill in return. Minions are chunking down, but he's going to survive on 20 HP. So,
for now,
very ballsy play, but here comes Shen from the side, Jester.
Yeah, he's going to look for that. Had Maluno gone into the bush and not used the ward, would have been a very different story, but 16 hit points was the was the difference in that engage. 16 hit points from life or death for Meluno. Very gutsy play this early game.
Yeah, seriously ballsy play, and he was rewarded not only getting the kill, but as we mentioned, surviving from Spontex, who very quickly reacted, coming down towards the bottom half of the jungle. Either way, that is going to be first blood, and Nocturne is just, he's going to get some more farm under his belt, going to be looking like an earlier damage threat with the first blood, 400 gold on top of that. And a bit of experience boost too, so that means the paranoia is going to be on the table that little bit sooner, Jester. And as we both know, paranoia coming in is such a great ganking tool.
The only thing I can really compare it to would be like Zac and his elastic slingshot. You can just all of a sudden have Nocturne show up out of nowhere. You're going to get denied that vision. Always a little bit of confusion ensues afterwards as well. But getting that level 6 up earlier means earlier ganks, which could lead into more of an advantage for Heimerdingers Colossi. And they're going to be absolutely fine with that because they're looking to 2-0 Eternity here. But bottom lane, Ashe did go home. Nono picked up the pickaxe. Curious choice, but she also has some boots, and at the same time we pushed in here from Heimerdingers, and now they've of course gone home, got their own shopping spree done. Double Dorns and the Vamp going to be coming back down, but not before a little bit of tower damage goes down.
Yeah, the pickaxe first pickup is definitely an interesting choice. Maybe wanting to wait for the BF sword, but realizing it wasn't on the cards, wanted to go back and get some kind of damage in the back pocket. So I am going to be keeping half an eye on the build and how it progresses. Of course, could be going towards Last Whisper or the Infinity Edge, depending on how the next 10 or 15 minutes go. But meanwhile, Nocturne did go back. He's going to find himself a longsword and boots of speed. So going for the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, it would appear thus far. Jarvan's coming on his way towards bot lane here, Jester, and there could be a potential gank on the cards, knowing that Mithy's flash is still off cooldown.
Well, I think he actually it is actually on cooldown, you're right, but we also have no wards down there. Eternity Agent comes in, nice flag and drag, the red buff, and there's the arrow, level 6. It should be a very dead Thresh, and hey, why stop there? Go for freeze. We got the Ignite going down, forcing out the barrier. On top of things, the tower dive does work out extremely well for the Eternity Agent. Low hit points, no low, but hey, low versus dead. They definitely came out ahead on that one. So for the first time in 2 games, Eternity gets themselves that kill lead as we got Meluno hit his 6. And they kill a blob real quick in that mid.
Yeah, I said it was off cooldown. Of course, I meant it was on cooldown. I kind of slipped up there with my tongue. The flash was not available for Mithy to use from the previous gank that came in. And so it was pretty good news for Eternity up until a point in the Super Blob got himself shut down. That's also going to be a blue steal on top of everything else going into the hands of Extinct. So not only has Orianna fell behind by a level, in fact, hold that thought because we're having another engage here. Spontex doing his best, but he's going to get moonfalled in. Meanwhile, Yamato Cannon firing off the shock blast. The flash comes through the wall, chasing after in melee form, will pick up the pieces. And actually, that is another kill going into the hands of Extinct in mid. That's his first, sorry, the other one went to Nocturne, but still, he is starting to push ahead here, Jester. It's getting scary.
Double Dorn Ring has the flask, so his sustain at this point pretty good, and at the same time it was excellent timing because they did get off that blue buff steal, which means that Meluno can go and grab his even faster jungling, even faster cooldowns for more ganks. And overall, just so far, early game Colossi still doing their normal awesome stuff here early. And Freeze still pushing in here bottom. We did have Ashe, of course. We do know the arrow's down. She's already headed back. Does have a long sword, so she might be going for that quick. Here comes the arrow, but it's not going to be in tower range. Vandernoob's not going to just rush forward, maybe looking for the wild growth. He's just looking to delay, but oh, we had Spontex come down here as well. What a lantern, getting Freeze out of that danger zone, and then the Flay to rebuff Spontex. That is going to keep HC Freeze just alive that much longer, and now the flash for Mithy. Here comes Blob though, and Meluno's now here as well. Diana's going to be making her way down, and just like that, Heimerdingers Colossi do not give up a kill.
Wow, their play is just so phenomenally strong. Beautiful Dark Passage utilized from Thresh, pulling back Caitlyn. Ace in the Hole comes out, but I don't feel they're going to want to engage this with Caitlyn on such low HP. Unless she can get in prime positioning, they are going to halt off the Drake attempt though, and that's pretty much what they were looking to do. And with the Yamato Cannon pushing in, he's going to cancel any recalling attempts. Doesn't look like Drake's going to kick off just yet though, Jester. Nice play from Heimerdingers Colossi to escape the gank at bot lane and also delay the Drake pickup from Eternity.
And that's really what the ace in the hole was there, just saying, hey, we're still here, throw out the death sentence. We knew that the entire team was there, and so many ults had already been used. I mean, Sponix didn't have the Stand United, we didn't have the arrow from No, and it had Blob actually gotten there a little bit earlier, maybe could have done something with the command shockwave, but they stopped it. It's good. Still 3-2. Caitlyn got to be feeling really good about that one. Freeze not dropping to that 3-man pressure in the bottom. So again, like Ashe, she might be going for that last whisper. I would have pegged her going for the Infinity Edge just to go off of her passive to up the crit chance. But maybe, if things just don't work out, you need those early damage items. Last whisper, you could go worse.
Yeah, this is what you see a lot of ADs do if they're particularly struggling, which I wouldn't say Ashe is actually feeling right now. 1-0-1 is actually 12 CS above the counterpart of Caitlyn, but it's fast. It's fast damage. Last Whisper as well is going to cut through armor, if indeed that's what she's going for. Looks likely with the longsword, as you mentioned previously. So it's one of those kind of strange pickups. But hey, these are the pro players. These are the players that are at the top of their game. So who are we to question what items they may or may not be going for? It does make a lot of sense overall. It's a cheap, very efficient item.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that she's still going to go for the Infinity, but the longsword is for a Vamp Scepter. Just for devil's advocate purposes.
That is a good call, though. It's definitely possible. That's the kind of build that she has. Typically, when you see pickaxe longsword go down, it's for Last Whisper. But as you say, you can take the pickaxe into the Infinity Edge and the longsword into Vampiric Scepter and just kind of roll with it from there. Dragon is being attempted right now from Heimerdingers Colossi. The Stand United is still on cooldown, so unfortunately, from Shen's perspective, he's not going to be able to make up any ground. Neither will Jace, though. Engage kicks off. The Paranoia goes onto Super Blob. Meanwhile, beautiful box has been used, shutting Agent down completely, pulling him back in with the death sentence as well. Here comes Ashe, though, firing in the arrow. Is it going to be able to save Agent? Ace in the hole comes out, but Extinct takes that one down regardless. And that should be a free Drake on top of the kill.
Now, Heimerdinger Colossi, when they started this, they had immense ward coverage in and around the entrances to the Drake. So they knew that it was going to get responded to, but because they had the vision that allowed Maluno to get off the Paranoia, again, you always have a little bit of confusion when a Paranoia goes off first, but he was able to chase off Blob. Blob did not get off that command shockwave, and then as you saw, the ace in the hole would have finished off Jarvan even if the Crescent Strike had not from Diana. So going into that, they knew that there was probably a ward there, but they also knew that they could easily fend off their attackers, and they take that one home extremely convincingly.
And the top tower to boot, so global objectives fallen thick and fast for Heimerdingers Colossi, who've now taken just over 3k gold advantage, pushing the bot lane as well. So it isn't looking too good. Mid is going down though, as you were saying before, and Extinct is under a lot of damage actually, could be falling. Did pick up the previous kill, looking for the 1 versus 2. The Pale Cascade is going to save his life. Stand United has been popped though from Shen, flash from Agent. That is going to be a dead Diana, but you have to give her props for surviving that long. Bot lane Freeze is taking tower damage, but it doesn't look like anyone else is going to fall.
Yeah, but No extremely close to it. But Agent, I mean, that was a 2-on-1. And Diana, like, we had the Cataclysm go in with Diana putting the ball on top of Jarvan, had the command shockwave go out. So that was, again, some of the synergy that they got going. Jarvan's an excellent ball carrier in terms of that. But just Diana, so much damage, even had to force out Shen from the top in order just to deal with her. That was some extreme footsies, though. Like, massive props right there for the outplay.
Yeah, definitely. Went down, but went down swinging. Does have a needlessly large rod, so there's going to be a lot of damage coming out from Extinct in these next couple of fights. Has Ashe gone back and built some more items? Yes, she has. So it looks as though your call of the Infinity Edge into Vamp Scepter was completely on the money. They've gone for the BF sword straight away. So Ashe is packing a pretty big punch, but with Caitlyn only having Vampiric Scepter, I'm assuming she's sitting on a stack of gold. Yes, she is. 1.8k. Hasn't recalled because doesn't want to lose this tower for nothing. And with Maluno coming in, they may try and make a play here, Jester. They've gone in.
Yeah, Maluno with the Paranoia. Again, those long-range gangs, every time it's up, he's going to be in and around the area. Eternity Agent's going to come by. He does not have that Cataclysm, so he's not going to be able to be as scared, and I think they know that as well. But Lantern mechanics, they save the tower, if just for a moment. The next creep wave should be able to put it down, or they're just going to, the next creep wave is just going to put it down.
So that has taken the tower fight in 2-1 favor of Heimerdingers Colossi, but Extinct is pushing down this tower. He's consistently forcing the creep wave. His own tower has only taken about 100 hit points of damage, so it is still very, very healthy. Whereas on the flip side, Oriana's tower is down to 1,131. So definitely aggression here in mid. Again though, Agent is caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, flagging and dragging over the wall. Oriana's shield comes in, but it's not going to be enough damage. And that is the scare factor of an early needlessly large rod and Seeker's arm guard. Diana moves 4-1.
Now, I saw Jarvan doing this, but I also saw Ashe coming into the mid, so I was kind of expecting Blob to kind of go join Jarvan, then they do a kind of a wombo combo with an Ashe arrow since she was right there. But unfortunately, I don't actually think he expected to find a Nocturne, and you know he did have to burn out that flash just trying to get away. As I say that, no, he actually didn't use that flash. He used the Flagon Drake to try to get away. Had he had the flash, maybe a bit of a different story. But again, wards save or don't save your lives. If he had a ward for that bush, would have been a very different story. Of course, he doesn't have Wriggles, he does have the Spirit Stone, and Extinct going hard here mid on top of Blob.
Yeah, I don't think Blob has much chance with a red and blue buffed Extinct chasing him. Indeed, the Crescent Strike will finish things off nicely, moving Extinct into dangerous territory, 1.2k, and he just came back from a recall. So it goes to show how good the last couple of minutes have been for him. Bloodthirst from Caitlyn as well. And here comes Jace at the top lane from Yamato Cannon, forcing back Spontex. Did catch a glimpse of Agent from the ward, so he's not going to be pushing too hard. But interestingly enough, Jace is really ripping through this. We've given the other characters a lot of attention, but Jace has just been silently farming. 154 with a Mana Moon at 500 stacks.
He's a pretty big monster at this point for sure, but it has been fairly low in the action. Looking at Diana though, against mid, against Eternity Agent there in the jungle, that's just not going to turn out to be anything. But Freeze is really trying to go on top of Nono here in the bottom lane. He's going under the tower, he takes another shot, pops out the barrier, and now we got Mythy coming in from by the back. Doesn't matter, Ace in the hole takes him down, and like all three lanes are pushing in so hardcore right now from the Heimerdinger Colossi.
Oh, Vandernoob's actually flashed in here. I'm not too sure about this play. Getting flayed back, and that's going to be a free kill, even with the wild growth. In fact, they preordained this. The Stanley Light is coming in with the Ignite as well. They will shut down Caitlyn, but that was a fairly sketchy engage. Agent is chasing after Mythy now alongside Super Blob, who's going to speed him up. There we go. How long till the flag and drag? In fact, it's going to be a cataclysm right on your face, but the box is going to slow them down enough to keep Mythy living and fighting for another day. Looks like they could turn this one round though, Jester.
Really good prediction skills out of both Agent as well as Mythy. Like, he timed out that flash excellently. Agent immediately just assumed he was going to flash, took down the Cataclysm, and then, of course, putting up the box just meant that Jarvan couldn't continue that fight. But the fight up against Caitlyn, sure, she did get shut down because we got the Ignite on top of the support Lulu. But had Shen actually, you know, stand united a little bit earlier, might have been a very different story for the fight bottom lane.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It did seem a bit delayed. Extinct is just showing how confident he is. He knows that there is a Oriana and Jarvan in close proximity, but he's simply out-leveling them. They're going in for this one, but look at the burst damage onto Super Blob. His health just disintegrates. Extinct is now surrounded by another 3 players. Can he escape? He doesn't have flash off cooldown. He doesn't have Ignite either. The Ashe Arrow comes in, but can Maluno come to save the day? He's on his Hourglass as well. Fear Tether proccing on Nono. He will be falling down. They're going to turn this one around massively. Death Sentence through the wall. Freeze, 90 calibering, natting, and flashing in courtesy of Maluno. Fear Tether goes down again. Not going to pull it off. Ace in the hole comes through. And nicely blocked from Vandu. But what about that turnaround? I thought Extinct was a dead man.
Well, as soon as I saw the arrow come up from Nono, it's just like, yeah, he should be a dead man, but, you know, Heimerdinger Colossi, extremely well-versed in what they need to do. Have that Zonios on top of the Diana. I've been looking at Jace now top lane because he's taken out that tower. He's even forcing Spontex back to the fountain at 180 hit points. He's just an absolute monster, this top lane. Now, he's at 19 minutes. He almost has that Mana Mune filled up, so it's not going to be quite the same timing as last game, but still a 20-minute mirror mana, and he's already winning that lane so heavily. Does not spell good things for Eternity.
Yeah, he has no kills, but it simply doesn't matter because he's been forcing the towers. As you can see, the map control right now for Eternity at top is completely bare. Both their towers are down, and their inhib tower is below 50%. Drake's been taken from Heimerdingers Colossi for completely free, and they're escalating ahead at an alarmingly fast rate. Over 9,000 gold difference between the two teams. 5-1 on towers, 12-4 is your scoreline, and the time only stands at 20 minutes. So, Jester, is there a way that you can think that Eternity can pull this game back, or is it already over?
Well, it's not as heavily one-sided in terms of like the disengage that we saw in game number 1. There's pretty much no way that that was actually going to work ever. But we're just going to look at Spontex first, as he is getting extremely chunked down here by Extinct. Here comes Freeze as well. He's going to try to use the Stand United to get away, and he actually does. Really well played. Oh, he didn't go far. So thank God there's nobody else in that jungle. But, you know, we haven't really seen these game-changing Shen ults. We haven't really seen the huge combo of a Cataclysm on top of a Command Shockwave on top of a Wild Growth, because that is a big time frame where you can make a lot happen if you can grab that AoE damage. So we haven't really seen that combo come out. So if we can maybe, you know, grab that, for example, like on this Baron right now, that would be a fantastic opportunity for Eternity, but Ash Arrow is already going to come out. That is going to hit Maluno after he used the Paranoia, so doesn't actually hit him really at all. And Mithy going to be coming in here from the back. I mean, he's going to look for this damage. Unfortunately, he gets chunked. That's also another great way you can try to get a kill, just separate them from the herds, cool the weak, so to speak. But Eternity Agent just so low on the hit points. He's going to throw down his combo before he goes down. There's the Wild Growth. We did have the Command Shockwave go out. Not entirely too sure who it actually landed on, but they do trade off 1 kill for 2. But Spontex, again, like, he's out of tricks. He's going to go down. Yamato Cannon is not going to get away from that one. Good flash coming out there from Nono. And Maluno, however, he's just monstrous at this point, so he should not have any trouble turning this back around. We got no ward coverage there past the purple in the bush, so if you do try to chase out that Nocturne, cooldowns will kick in. He has enough mana to probably kill someone at this point, but yeah, I mean, trying to catch them out, trying to separate them, trying to go for those big AoEs, which they did, you know, fairly effectively right there. They got the Wild Growth on top of the Jarvan. I'm not entirely too sure where the Command Shockwave went, but they used all 3 of them basically at the same time, disabled the entire team, and they were able to grab 2 kills for it.
Yeah, they actually put Shockwave on top of Jarvan as he Cataclysm down, so it was just massive amounts of chunk damage.
The triple threat, basically.
Exactly, triple threat, as you say. So it was a nice combination, and actually didn't work out too badly for Eternity. Up to this point, it's been, I don't want to say completely one-sided, but when you see Diana escaping a 4 versus 1 effectively, it's looking grim. That fight, though, went 3 for 3. Ashe was stood at the backlines doing plenty of damage, believe picked up a kill and some assists as well. So it's not necessarily the greatest position for Eternity, but that last fight will give them slightly more confidence. Ashe, as I said before, she's only going to get stronger the later this game goes. When she gets an Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and Last Whisper behind her, you'll see a big spike in her damage. So I feel like Eternity are probably wanting to turtle this one in. The only problem with doing that is you therefore pretty much give away control of the entire map, and Heimerdingers Colossi may look to pounce on Baron again in the next few minutes.
Well, if you look at some of the ward coverage right now, we don't exactly have like a huge network of wards going down, but we do got a bunch of reds here in the jungle. It is going to be keeping track of where Eternity is going. We did throw down a pink here, Vandernoob, so he is cleaning up a few of them, but absolutely nothing on the bottom side of the map. But as we said, you know, Baron, very tempting target at this point. There goes the arrow. It will hit Mithy, and that's going to be it for Spontex. And nice combo coming out from there with the Command Shockwave on top of things. But Yamato Cannon comes in. He's mad. He's doing the damage. Eternity Agent's going to be the next target. He's going to get the Cataclysm off before he does drop. Vandernoob is going to drop to the Ignite combo from Extinct as well. So tight spaces typically should be favoring Eternity, but you know, we just did not get the AoE we needed right there, and that's going to be the surrender votes to boot.
Yeah, that was a really strange engage. They landed the Ash Arrow and then the Shockwave onto Mithy only. So yes, you deleted the enemy support, but in doing so, you burnt 2 of the biggest tools in your arsenal. Like, after that point, you're pretty much screwed. And you saw that Heimerdingers Colossi are like, okay, rest in peace, Mithy, but we're going to avenge you now, mate, and we're going to go and just wipe everybody out off the face of the planet. And that's going to be reflected in the surrender vote. Eternity realizing that the Baron was free, and they were having enough difficulties without the Baron up Heimerdingers Colossi, so they just didn't want to be playing against this, Jester. But it was a fairly interesting game nonetheless. Heimerdingers Colossi taking it 2-0 though.
As we've alluded to before, they have the stats on their side. They have the height. These guys are extremely strong, your side of the pond. And they've only dropped, what, 1 game this week. And as I said, if you look them up on Leaguepedia, they have nothing but firsts in any tournament that they've actually rocked. And they've never lost a game in any of those finals matches. So they know how to deal with the pressure. They know how to deal with the picks and the bans. They got a lot of talent under their belt. So it's not really too surprising statistically that they came out ahead. But, Eternity had that AoE combo actually work. Just, even if they gotten a second kill out of that last engage, it might have been, maybe not the game ending engage that it was. But yeah, Heimerdingers Kaostv is that good.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a demoralizing point. It's like, oh, we killed Mithy and our whole team is now dead. Probably time to throw in the towel. It was just one of those kind of team fights that backfired astronomically huge. But it's been a pleasure to cast with you, Jester. That was the first time we've casted and really enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys that were watching did as well. We are going to cut to a quick commercial break. I say quick, actually I'm not too sure how long it's going to be because we have probably a bit of a delay between best of 3 number 1 and 2 because of that was so fast. But we will try and keep you updated whenever we find out when the next best of 3 will be kicking off. But until then, Jester, do you have anything to say before we cut off for a little while?
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. I don't know if I'm going to join you again, but it has been a pleasure, Mr. Matiz.
Likewise. So we're going to cut it off here, guys. We are going to be alive. Don't worry, best of 3 number 2 coming up very, very shortly. Be right back.